Okay, this is Christopher Parham. I'm also known as Ice Cube 57 on the Hemisphere Forum. I'm just doing a quick video to give you my personal view on the BBS02 8 thumb Bafang bottom bracket mid drive system. Um, I recently came from using a Golden Motor Magic Pi at about 5,000 watts. Tons of fun, but that one eventually broke the frame of the bike after about a year or so of service. So I decided to scrap that build and switch over to something totally different. Now, I hunted around and got the best price locally in the U.S. for um, the 8 Bafang system, and I spent roughly about 600 and it was $630 on a ship, 670 after shipping. And this was the 48 volt, 25 amp, 750 watt system. Um, I purchased a bike frame from Walmart. It was a Genesis 29, 2900 Max Air. Um, there's a lot of low quality components. I swapped out a few of the key components, and it turned out to be a pretty nice deal. But getting back to the bottom bracket, the installation was, other than removing the stock bottom bracket, which was a pain in the ass, installing it was a little bit stubborn. I ended up having to dribble the bottom bracket area out so that it would smoothly slide in there. The lock ring, I was able to use both lock rings and just ended up using the standard lock ring nut. So you can get that tool anywhere. So that was really easy for the installation. Everything was really easy, and even when it came to the chain line, it was very straightforward. I didn't have any issues. I didn't have to use any spaces or anything. Um, my initial few test rides, the bike seems very anemic, but like I said, I'm coming from a 5,000 watt hub motor build to something that's using the drivetrain of the bike. A few things influenced this initial view. One, I bought a brand spanking new BMP 7 speed 1132 freewheel from e-bike CA. Um, I went on ahead and blindly installed it on the wheel. Didn't really expect it too much. I'm like, hey, it's a new freewheel. And so upon initially riding it, there was like 2 or 3 gears that the chain was slipping in. And upon further looking at the freewheel, there was several teeth that were chipped or worn. I mean, like, this was a brand new freewheel, but it had worn teeth on the freewheel. So um, it made the bike feel anemic because I couldn't be as hard on the drivetrain as I thought I initially could because the chain was slipping. I just put a new chain on there. Didn't want to buy a new one. And I already knew that, all right, if this one is slipping, then I just simply need a new freewheel. So I ended up getting a Shimano 1134 Mega Range freewheel and installed that. And that made a huge difference in the shifting performance. And that 34 tooth granny gear gave me a little bit of an advantage, especially going up some of these hills around here. Um, I would say the comfortable speed on this bike, top speed that you could probably sustain is about 25 in pass mode, pedaling along with the motor. And of course, if you use motor only and you have a totally flat ground or downhill in your favor, you can get up to 30, 35 quite easy as long as the terrain is in your favor. But this is a motor that you can't lug around. Um, you know, even though we have a 11 tooth gear being the lowest rear gear that we can have, and that's where most of our speed comes from, you cannot run this motor in that gear and expect it to perform like it should. Especially if you start out in 11 tooth, it's just going to be horribly slow. It's not going to have any pickup. So I would say the number one tip is the user gears especially. I have a psychoanalyst, and looking at the psychoanalyst, you can tell where the motor is happy at. If it's pegging out at maximum wattage, then you're obviously in the wrong gear. But if you're slowly seeing a decrease in watts as you get up to top speed, one that indicates the motor is happy where it's at, and the amps are backing off due to the back EMF building up in the motor due to the RPMs increasing to the top end. And two, it's another sign that, all right, you're kind of topping out in your gearing. If you need more speed, go ahead and shift to the next smallest gear until you're at the speed range that you want to be in. Another thing is this bottom bracket system. The smaller the wheel is, the happier it's going to be. I have a 29-inch wheel, which is on the extreme end of bikes, and so it's not giving any type of mechanical advantage to this motor. Right now, I'm running a 46 tooth front chain ring, and like I said, I have the 1134 rear 7-speed cluster. I think it's a good enough range for me, but even if I wanted it to be perfect, I would probably drop down to a 42 tooth on the front, and that would probably give me the best advantage. But the thing is, you lose a lot of top end speed, and your green gear gets horribly slow. So like right now with my current setup, I'm doing about 11 to 12 miles an hour in granny gear going uphill. That's probably about as slow as I want to go. And I can't even do any pedal assist. That's motor only. If I try to do any pedal assist, I'm just spinning the cranks and not really applying any power. So that's one disadvantage of going down to a lower chain ring. But if you live in hilly terrain, dropping the lower that you go on the front tooth and the higher that you go on the rear tooth, the more mechanical advantage the motor has. And again, like I said, you want to be in the right gear. You don't want to lug this motor in the wrong gear for too long because, where I stay at, there's a lot of hills, and just riding in my subdivision, I can get the motor pretty hot. And look at me, I'm a pretty big guy. Um, like I said, you always want the right gears. Just because you can put a 52 tooth chain ring on there, and you can have this the same top speed. Unless you live in Kansas or something, then you really don't need it. And you need such a long stretch of road to even wind this motor out to top speed that it's not really worth it. That's why I say this motor can do 25, maybe 30 miles per hour in the right conditions and be happy. Now, another thing is this is a pass, as a pass system, or as a pedal assist sensor. And so my kit originally came with 3 settings, um, 1, 2, and 3, so it had very condensed power band. So like if one wasn't getting, two would probably get it, but sometimes two could be too much. There was no middle range, so I went into the menu and changed a few settings and got it up to 9 speed. Now the way mine's set up now is you have speeds, assist levels 1 through 9, and pretty much the way that I in the 10 miles that I rode it, basically there's about 80 to 100 watts of assist in every level. So in level 1 you may have 80 to 100 watts. The next one you'll have like 200 some odd watts and 300. And on this path route, I found myself switching in between 3 and 4, and that gave me a good pedal along assist. Uh, so roughly I was going anywhere between 250 to 350 watts going in the neighborhood of 16 to 22 miles an hour, depending on the terrain. Now, one thing about this system is this is this will make your bike feel like a regular bike, but you will feel like you are superhuman. So this isn't like my Magic Pop Wheel where I had 5,000 watts on tap, and you had a knee-jerk reaction as soon as you went into the throttle. Even when I had the pedal assist torque sensor on that, it still was kind of jarring for that amount of surge power to, you know, propel you. This one is a lot more tame. You're not going to have that jerk reaction that jackrabbit unless you're in like a really low gear, or I mean a really high gear like the granny gear or the one below that, you know. But it's real gentle and rolling into it when it's on pass. There is a slight delay when you switch over from pass to throttle. There's about a second delay, but it comes in right on time when you need it. It's kind of alarming, but once you get used to how the system performs, then um, you should have no problem adjusting your ride. Actually, and on this build, like, I know there's a lot to do with frame geometry, but our trails are level, and sometimes you really don't want to be on the handlebars, but grab the handlebars just to maintain control of your bike. Unfortunately, this bike, it doesn't have the tank slap issue, so I was able to ride like 5 miles with my hands on the side, no hands on the handlebar, just pedaling along in the pass. The pass sensor was just giving assist to the wheel, and it didn't feel dangerous. I wasn't veering off the road or have the handlebar wobble, so that's a good plus. That's more related to the geometry of the bike, but also to the way that it delivers the power. Um, Again, like I said, you can have the gearing for a high top speed, but unless like the terrain is in your favor, then you're really not going to reach top speed in a time frame that's good enough to even brag or showboat or even chase cars and stuff. And so, like I said, this is on the end of it being more of a regular bike. It's sort of like in between lightning rods and an E-zip. That you can't dog it out, but trust me, when you have that assist, you do feel superhuman, and you do feel like you can conquer any obstacle. Um, and the only thing else that I can think of, like I told you before, the smaller the wheel is, the better off the performance is. So I've only experienced this on a 29-inch wheel. I'm pretty sure on a 26-inch that it'll be a lot more pick up and go in performance. And I've read that people with Dayhan little folder bikes with 16-inch wheels are getting, popping wheelies with this thing. I can believe it. Um, I'm about to do another ride later on this evening, Critical Mass, probably another 10 or 15 mile ride, deep ride. And one of the things about this bike, it does feel a lot safer in a group ride versus having a bike with 5,000 watts on tap. And even with the pedal assist system, one stroke of the pedals can get you going pretty quickly. Um, this one does feel a lot safer, and it does have a little I had a three-speed switch button on my old Pi 2 system, and it kind of changed the power. But having these 1 through 9 level assist gives you in that perfect butter zone where it's not too much, it's not too little. You do feel like you're providing your own human power, but you can kind of dial in the assist to where if you want to cheat, you can. If you want to have more of your own power, you can. But the assist level does influence how fast you go. So and like I said, it's just paying attention to the cycle analysis and the amount of watts that's being drawn, and listening to the sound of the motor. You want to keep the RPMs high so that you're more efficient. If you're lugging the motor and the motor's really droning and you're not really getting that performance or speed pickup, you're obviously in the wrong gear. Um, let's see. I think I pretty much said everything that I wanted to say on the video. So I hope this is useful to somebody, and thanks for watching.